Maddie Carter, a 72-year-old widow, sat by her living room window, her sharp eyes scanning the quiet suburban street. For decades, Willow Street had epitomized middle-class tranquility. But lately, something felt off. Night after night, a sleek black car would glide silently down the street, slipping into the derelict garage at the far end of the block. Behind the wheel was Daniel Reeves, a reclusive former philanthropist, now shrouded in mystery. Beside him sat a young girl, Lily, her vibrant yellow dress incongruously bright against the shadows of secrecy. Maddie's curiosity quickly turned to concern. What was Daniel, a man once celebrated for his wealth and community spirit, doing in an abandoned garage night after night? And why did the sight of this once admired man provoke such unease among her neighbors? The questions gnawed at her, keeping her up long after the lights in the garage had gone out. Willow Street was a tapestry of orderly lives. Rows of neat homes with manicured lawns bore witness to their owners' aspirations. Maddie herself was a fixture in the neighborhood, her watchful eyes a guardian of its harmony. She had lived here for nearly 5 decades, and her days, since her husband's passing 3 years ago, were spent observing the rhythms of suburban life. But Daniel's return, paired with the enigmatic presence of Lily, disrupted that harmony. The car, its glossy surface reflecting the fading hues of twilight, was as much an oddity as its driver. Daniel, now in his mid-30s, had once been a striking figure of success and generosity. His tailored suits, like his demeanor, spoke of boardrooms and high-stakes negotiations. Yet, his nightly visits to the garage and his apparent isolation unnerved Maddie. Lily, no older than 8, was a vision in her yellow dress, her dark, braided hair framed eyes that seemed too knowing for her years. Together, they presented a mystery too compelling for Maddie to ignore. As days turned into weeks, Maddie's concern deepened. Her knitting lay untouched as she peered from behind her curtains, noting every detail: Daniel's guarded posture, Lily's quiet demeanor, the stark contrast between their appearance and the dilapidated structure they occupied each night. Autumn's arrival painted Willow Street in fiery shades, but the seasonal beauty did little to distract Maddie. She noticed how Daniel's shoulders sagged under the weight of unseen burdens, how Lily's dress, once a bright beacon, began to show signs of wear. What had seemed a peculiar curiosity now felt like a puzzle Maddie was desperate to solve. She tried to engage her neighbors, subtly at first, over tea with Mary Jenkins from next door or during the weekly book club at the community center. Maddie broached the subject. "Have you noticed Daniel Reeves lately?" she would ask, her tone casual. Responses ranged from bemused shrugs to dismissive laughter. Daniel always was eccentric. Tom, the retired postman, said. "Rich folks often are." Others speculated that Lily might be a relative or a ward. "He's probably helping her out." Lisa, a young mother, offered. Daniel was always good about giving back. But Maddie's questions were met with skepticism when she pressed further. "It's just odd, don't you think?" she asked one evening. The room grew uncomfortably quiet, her neighbors exchanging uneasy glances. "Maddie," Lisa said gently, "you've been through a lot. Maybe you're reading too much into this." The implication stung, but Maddie's resolve only hardened. Her neighbor's dismissal left her feeling isolated, but she knew, deep in her bones, that something wasn't right. A break in routine. One chilly November evening, Maddie's vigilance paid off. As she peered out her window, she noticed an unfamiliar car pull up in front of the garage. It was another sleek, black vehicle, its driver stepping out with an air of authority. Even from a distance, Maddie could see the tension in the man's stance as he confronted Daniel outside the garage. The exchange was brief but heated. The visitor gestured emphatically, his voice carrying faintly on the cold wind. Daniel's posture was defensive, his hands raised as if placating the man. Then, just as suddenly as he had arrived, the stranger drove off, leaving Daniel standing alone under the dim streetlight. The incident reignited Maddie's determination. Whatever was happening, it was serious. "I need to know the truth," she whispered to herself. The following night, Maddie followed Daniel and Lily on foot. She trailed them to a park where they sat in near silence, Lily's small figure dwarfed by the bench. From her hiding spot, Maddie strained to hear their conversation. "It's not safe anymore." Daniel's voice carried faintly. "We have to leave." "But I like it here," Lily replied, her voice trembling. Maddie's heart ached at the desperation in their voices. She was closer to the truth, but still far from understanding the full picture. Confrontation. Maddie decided to confront Daniel directly. Early one morning, as his car idled at the end of the block, she stepped into its path, waving her arms to stop him. Daniel rolled down the window, his expression a mix of weariness and irritation. "Mrs. Carter, what are you doing?" "I need to talk to you," Maddie said firmly. "Please, step out of the car." Reluctantly, Daniel obliged. Lily remained inside, her wide eyes fixed on Maddie. "What do you want?" Daniel asked, his tone guarded. "Answers," Maddie replied. "You've been living in that garage for months. The girl, she deserves better." Daniel's face crumpled, his defenses crumbling under Maddie's earnest gaze. "You're right," he admitted, "but it's not what you think." Over the next hour, Daniel confessed everything. Once a celebrated philanthropist, he had lost everything to a series of bad investments. Lily was his niece, orphaned and left in his care. The garage had been their last refuge after creditors seized his assets. Maddie's heart broke at his story. "Why didn't you ask for help?" she asked. Daniel shook his head. "Pride. Shame. I didn't want anyone to see me like this." A new beginning. Moved by his plight, Maddie offered Daniel and Lily a place to stay. "You can't keep living like this," she said. "Let me help you." Reluctantly, Daniel agreed. Over the next few weeks, Maddie's quiet home transformed into a haven for the pair. Daniel took on odd jobs, slowly rebuilding his life, while Lily flourished under Maddie's care. The neighbors, once skeptical, rallied around them when they learned the truth. Donations of clothing and food appeared on Maddie's doorstep, and offers of employment for Daniel began to pour in. The garage, once a symbol of despair, was torn down, replaced by a community garden that became a gathering place for the neighborhood. Epilogue. As winter settled over Willow Street, Maddie sat by her window, watching Daniel and Lily decorate the small Christmas tree they had brought home together. Her heart swelled with a sense of fulfillment she hadn't felt in years. In helping Daniel and Lily, Maddie had found a renewed sense of purpose, and in her, they had found not just a protector, but family. The secrets of Willow Street had been laid bare, and in their place, hope and connection blossomed anew.